Hello world, Smiley here. Happy Tuesday. How are you doing? I hope you're well. I'm just going to check that I'm in the right place. As I come online, all my notifications ping up. How is everyone? Just having a cup of nettle, dandelion and licorice root tea. Not sure what that's going to do to me. If I rush off to the bathroom in the middle of it, you'll know why. I wanted to come on today and talk to you about loads of things actually. So it's a bit of a mismatch, but I've written myself a list of things to tell you about because I'm getting lots of questions and I'm getting lots of feedback and I want to make sure I cover them all off. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. It's also a rainy play day, isn't it? So I thought if you're at home and you're a bit bored, something for you to watch and think about, because I like to make you all think, as you know. But there's a new moon in Leo tomorrow. So I don't know how many of you know that I'm quite an avid follower of the working with the energy of the moon. That's the kind of more hippie woo-woo side of me. And the new moon in Leo is about the energy of confidence, creativity and courage. So every new moon and then 2 weeks later, every full moon, I do myself a tarot card spread and I journal on that and set myself goals or I set myself wishes. And in the book, Stuck Between Two Worlds, Ruby makes rainbow. In her rainbow book, she makes new moon wishes. So all the children have rainbow books that they write their new moon wishes in, which is just like a way of goal setting, really. It's not a magical, I'll make a wish and it will come true. It's I'll set myself a goal and then I have to meet my goal halfway. And you've got to take action. You can't be passive. And then in the full moon is about letting go of stuff and, releasing, I think. And also in the book, in the full moon, Ruby has to make a decision of whether she's going to stay in the wilderness or go back to her family or become a swapsy. Now, there are lots of things like that in the book. So I wrote you a little, it's almost like a glossary, can you see? Wilderness words and their meanings that goes in the back of the book so that you can look up. So where we got here, let's look up what does it say for new moon. The new moon occurs when the moon and the sun are on the same side of the earth. The moon is between the sun and the earth and therefore lost in the glare of the sun. We see the side which is not lit. So the moon appears dark to us. So the new moon is coming in about 4:00 tomorrow morning. So it's interesting because the next new moon is going to be a new moon in Aquarius. And I am an Aquarian, but Leo is my opposite, is the total opposite sign on the astral chart. So Leo is a fire sign, so it's a very strong energy, Leo. Whereas Aquarius is more up here thinking. And if you read the book, you'll see how much of a deep thinker Ruby is. I don't know if she was born like that or if the way she was raised just made her very detailed in her thinking. Because I think when we are stuck in fight or flight mode, we get into that overthinking, like on hamster on a treadmill, and we can't seem to get off it. What else? What other words can I share with you? A mermangel, a cross between an angel and a mermaid. A rainbow book, a record of each wild heart's wishes. Rose petal tea. Tea made with rose petals often served as a refreshment after hard work. Intuition, the part of you that knows before your brain does, a bit like having an inner sat-nav that tunes you into your feelings and guides you towards what is right for you. Now, did I put huddle in here? I didn't. A wild heart huddle is a gathering of all of the wild hearts together. They come together to be, to learn. And Nettie is the queen of the wild hearts. She's like the wild heart mother. She takes care of them all. She brings them from earth plane into the wilderness, which is like another universe, another place. And I am having a wild heart huddle on the 8th of September. I found this amazing forest school. So those of you that know Cobham in Surrey, it's just before you get to the Sainsbury's roundabout. You hang a left where the Notre Dame school is. And there is a forest down there, a forest school. So we're going to meet there at Walton Firs on the 8th of September And we are going to write new moon wishes and hang them on the trees. We're going to do a bit of relaxation. We're going to go into our clarity clouds. So a clarity cloud is a low floating cloud which clears the mind of worries and helps make decisions. And we're going to call in our super squad. So our super squad is a personal team of excellent guides created and called upon using the power of your imagination. The energy of these people will keep you safe and support you when you've lost your way. So we will be using our super squad and our clarity clouds to tune into our higher self so we can get advice. We'll also be doing muscle testing. So when I used to run the workshops at the Medicine Garden in Cobham, or when I very first started out like 10 years ago, we used to muscle test. So that's what they do in kinesiology. They use your body to test your yes or your no, or your true or your false. And then you can, when you've done that, you can then ask your body questions. And this happens to Ruby in the book. She has to test her wishes to see how much she really believes that they're going to come true. Because if you don't believe that they're going to come true, if you don't believe hard enough, then they won't come true. And they're called wobbly wishes. They're also in here. A wobbly wish is a new moon wish that are not ready to be granted because the wisher has a lot of doubt around them. So a lot of children or adults that lack confidence or have low self-esteem, we are sort of plagued by doubt. You know, that's that inner critic that just sort of says to us, are you sure? Are you doing it right? Are you going to make a mistake? What's everyone going to say? It's that horrible voice inside your head. So all of these kind of topics are addressed in the book. And so people are saying to me, who's it for? How much is it? What age is it? So I'm going to try and go through some of those questions right now. Basically, guys, the book's free, so why would you not buy it? That's what my moody teenager wants to say to you. It's free on Amazon Unlimited. Just go and buy it and read it. Why do we need all the questions? It's not very helpful, is it, Smiley? But the grown-up Nettie, the godmother in me that wants to nurture and answer questions, is saying, let's take 20 minutes out of our day and answer these questions so that people, because I find a lot of my audience, a lot of my wild hearts, they get into the detail of everything and they can't make decisions or do things unless they know every single thing. And this is what Ruby does in the book. But Ruby learns that actually in life, you can't know every single thing. And sometimes you have to take risks and you have to do things without having answers to all the questions. You have to trust yourself. Now, those of us that have been traumatized or experienced childhood trauma really struggle to trust ourselves. It's not our fault. It's not our fault. But it's something we need to learn how to do, because as a parent, if you don't trust yourself, you kind of pass that energy on to your kids, and we don't want that. We don't want that for them. So who's it for? It's for everybody. Come on, it's for everybody. I have sold 544 copies in 2 weeks. I'm so shocked that I have. It's number 2 on the hot releases on Amazon. It stayed at number 2 for 2 weeks. I kept logging on in the mornings and thinking, please get to number 1. But there's another book there. Damn it, there's a number 1. Actually, it's an author who's released quite a few books, and so this is not their first book. So they're obviously, it's a series. So I can't compete with that. I'm a newbie to the scene. And yeah, 544 copies. It's incredible, guys. And I want to say thank you to all of you for all the likes and the shares and the sending of the pictures and the reviews on Amazon and the little emails that have been pinging into my inbox saying, got the book, love it, here's a picture. Love it. Just keep doing that, because when I doubt myself, and I do doubt myself, I'm human before I'm a coach, so I'm not perfect. I'm still learning on the job. When I doubt myself, your little messages and your photos and your reviews light up my heart, light up my brain, and make me go, see, it's all going to be okay. And the reason I want it to be okay is it's not about my ego or my insecurity, although it's partly that, if I'm honest, but it's more about the fact that if it's okay, then I can tick the box that says I've done a good thing and I've given something back and I've made a difference and I've put something out there that I know is genuinely going to help people. So I'm just going to read you the latest testimonial that I got from a really lovely lady who was a client of mine, but is no longer a client because we're done. We've done our bit. She wrote, so much wonderful stuff, all wrapped up in a beautiful tale about a girl who believed in magic. She did believe in magic, the girl, Ruby. She did believe in magic. She did. Just wow. I think she had a lot of hope, actually. I think it's hope that kept her going. She was hopeful at times where it was pretty hopeless, to be fair to her. Just wow, so much wisdom and insight into the worries of children and the possible ways to view them, work with them, file them, use them, make them okay, learn from them, show other lessons learnt with love and kindness. So, you know, as a child reading it, you get all your worries kind of validated, and you can make sense of them. But then as a parent, you can kind of see how you can support your child. So it's really good for anxious children. It's really good for angry children. But I often find that angry children are angry because their anger is a mask, is a cover-up for anxiety and often grief, actually, in a lot of situations. Anyway, this book is written from the heart. Lisa is an amazing coach, and the book gives so much throughout the story writing. This book was my chosen holiday read before handing it to my children. Just amazing. You can also download this book for free. Yes, it's free on Amazon Kindle. Did I say that it's free? So many children and adults recognise it, and adults recognising their own inner child. You will find peace and kindness in making sense of your own feelings. Truly, madly, and smiley indeed. Love it. Thank you for that lovely review. So the inner child thing. The inner child is not just kind of like a hippie... It's not like a hippie phrase. It's actually an archetype, your inner child. And a lot of us who were abused as children or had narcissistic parents or were neglected emotionally and in other ways, and we'll talk about narcissistic parents in a minute, we're very passive in our healing, I find. I find that we read a lot and we think a lot, and we get overwhelmed and then we stop. But it's very hard sometimes for us to take action, and we're very good at procrastinating because we're full of fear. And of course we're full of fear because we're traumatized. So, you know, think of a soldier coming back from war. They're traumatized. A child who has to be a little soldier when they should never have been, because the adults there were meant to keep them safe, but the adults were unpredictable. That child is going to be full of fear. That child, if you haven't spoken to that child, understood that child, given that child a voice, that child still lives inside of you. And that child needs you to pay attention to what it's saying and how it's feeling. And it needs you to take care of its needs. It's very hard for you, if you are that child, to ask for what you want and to ask for what your needs to be met. It's sometimes even hard to identify what you needed. Because if you had a narcissistic parent, your focus would have always been on their needs and keeping them happy. So a narcissistic parent is a parent who is just very stunted emotionally. So it's like a child in an adult's body. Now, I'm saying narcissistic because I'm not talking about true narcissism, which is narcissistic personality disorder, which is a full-blown personality disorder. So there's a scale, like there's a scale on most things. So you can have, I think there's a very low percentage of people who've got NPD. But then there's a scale of people who've got highly narcissistic traits. Now, for me, there's two things that I think make people highly narcissistic that really stand out for me. The first one is entitlement. And that triggers me so much, can you tell? They don't think the rules apply to them. There's one rule for them, one rule for everyone else. And if you call them out on their shit, it's not their fault. You're making them angry. It's never their fault. They're never wrong. So they're very entitled. They feel like they're entitled to special treatment. They're not like everyone else. They're very special. The rules don't apply to them. The second thing I think to watch out for with narcissistic people is, like true narcissists, their intent is quite malicious. Their intent is to get an emotional reaction out of you. So they're reaction seekers. They want a reaction out of you. So they'll do stuff on purpose to push your buttons. Highly narcissistic. I just can't explain to you how it's a murder of a child's psyche to be raised by a highly narcissistic parent, because there is no room for the child in that relationship. No room. It's all about the parent. And even when it seems to be about the child, it's still about the parent. I'm not explaining that very well. I can't think of an example. But I find that narcissistic parents are very preoccupied with how things look. They're not interested with how things feel. and they're very preoccupied with their public persona, and they control and manage how other people see them. They've created a false self of how they want to be seen. So their children live in this like really split reality of like how mummy and daddy are at home, nasty, abusive, rageful, punitive, disgusted, sometimes violent and mean and nasty, and not always in obvious ways. It's not always this. It's sometimes, mind control, gaslighting, changing the child's reality and saying, no, that didn't happen. What are you talking about? When it did. So that's just head F-U-C-K for anyone. But for a child, it's awful because they're still learning who they are and finding out who they are. But they're very preoccupied on the false self they've created. That's how they want you to see them. If you challenge their reality, which children clearly do because children are innocent and they're honest, they soon learn not to challenge that parent's reality because they get punished for it. But I think I always say like a narcissistic person's sort of mantra is, I'm sorry if I did it, but if I did it, it was your fault anyway. So they're in no way accountable for their behaviour. And I think I was saying to a friend the other day when we were talking about, what sort of people go to therapy. People don't go to therapy if they don't think there's a problem. If you're a narcissistic, you don't think the problem is you think it's everyone else. And if you're sitting here watching this thinking, am I a narcissist or am I narcissistic? We're all a little bit narcissistic. We've all got degrees of narcissism inside of us. Some of it is healthy narcissism. But these people are just like right up this end of the scale and everything is about them. Everything is about them. If you were raised by narcissists or you've got narcissistic parents, you will have what they're called narcissistic fleas. If you go into therapy or you start journaling and you get to know yourself a bit better, then you can get rid of the fleas. You realise that actually that's a learned behaviour from your parents and you start to learn what healthy is. But your inner child will have been crushed by this narcissistic energy, and the narcissist feeds off of the child. So in a parent-child relationship, the love is supposed to flow to the child from the parent, but it's the wrong way around in a narcissistic relationship. The narcissistic parent is feeding off the child and getting narcissistic supply. There's so much more I could say about that, but I'm not going to get into it because if you don't really know if you haven't got narcissistic parents, if you've got them, you're likely to know. It's very difficult to have a relationship with them. They don't have any boundaries. They're boundary breakers. They're tyrannical. But then you can also have vulnerable narcissists who are more sort of covert in their narcissistic way. So they're all like poor me and very victim-y, and they sort of garner sympathy from their audience through always being the victim. But Google it. There's tons of information out there, sort of resources that I would gravitate towards, that I would recommend that are good resources are Terry Cole, Real Love Revolution. She has a really good podcast. She talks about narcissistic mothers and narcissistic parents. Who else? Who else do I follow? There's a really good blog called The Narcissist Child. That's a good blog. What's the website that talks about the fog? The fog is fear, obligation and guilt. If a parent tries to get you to do stuff using fear, obligation and guilt, you're in the fog. You can't set boundaries with them. You need to create space. See, I could go on about it forever. It's something I'm very well read on. I'm quite fascinated by it, actually. And it's sad because you know what? A true narcissist, that is their response to trauma. They've created a false self. That is their response to trauma. So it's sad, but it doesn't mean that it's okay for them to go around abusing people and behaving the way they do. So there's different layers to the book, okay? So Ruby's, and the extremes are in there to create the story. So Nettie is like the good enough parent. She's almost like the therapist who's full of empathy, compassion and love for Ruby and for your inner child when you read it. And then the other end of the spectrum is Ruby's family, who are highly narcissistic and they don't really care very much about her and they don't understand her because she's so emotional. And they're like, we don't do emotion. We just need everything to look okay. Smile, everyone. The family portrait has to be perfect. And if you're the bad child, you're making our family look really rubbish. So you will be punished for that. And she is. And people are sort of saying, what age is it for? It does talk about smacking and physical violence in the book, but it's in an age-appropriate way that children will understand. It's not frightening. It's not scary. You know, children need to know this stuff happens. If you were smacked by your parents, I'm sure that you mention it to your kids. In the 80s, that was a parenting style, believe it or not. What were we thinking, honestly? And yeah, so you get the two extremes in the book. You get the narcissistic parents, and then you get Nettie, who's playing the role of the therapist, the healer, the whatever, the good enough mother. So there's two extremes. But it will be good for you if you've been traumatised, for your inner child, to hear some of those messages. But it will also help you if you're parenting with trauma, because it's hard parenting with trauma. Your children will trigger you. They really will. And they will open you up, and they will make you aware of the things that you need to know. On Sunday, when I went shopping, I was in the changing rooms and with my sister, and there was a little boy next to us, and he was really whining. And then we heard this thud, and then he started to cry. And I found his mum's response to him hurting himself and crying really interesting. She said, "What the hell are you doing?" And I looked at my sister, and she was like, "Let it go, let it go, let it go." But actually, that's how she talks to herself in her own head. That's her own inner parent that scolds her and berates her when she makes a mistake. My response to that little boy would be, "Are you okay?" And then, you know, when he stopped crying, "Can you sit down quietly for mummy, like I've asked you to? I don't want you to hurt yourself. Mummy's trying to keep you safe," and explaining to him. Anyway, but in the moment, when you're a parent parenting with trauma, your first reaction when you're triggered is that mean voice, and that's the voice that you need to work with. So in my, what course is it? In my No More Struggles, Power Struggles course, which is the boundaries course. And I keep saying to you guys, boundaries, 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 but none of you are listening. Or you are listening and going elsewhere to do your homework. And brilliant if you are. But I've got a boundaries course that talks about boundary basics, about how to have boundaries, because you won't have had boundaries if you were raised in a narcissistic family. You're all one big clump, one big family. No one's allowed to individuate. That's threatening to a narcissistic family. We're all one big family. We all think the same. We all do the same. We all agree with the same things. No one's allowed to be individuals. So in the boundaries course, it talks about why you need boundaries and why they're healthy. And it also then talks about how you can integrate that into your parenting, because your kids need boundaries to keep them safe, even if it's just from predators. Children who are highly anxious and angry, they need boundaries. They're crying out for boundaries. They're saying, "Mummy, you know, where's the line? Where's the line? I can't feel the line. I don't know where it is." So check out the boundaries course if you haven't done yet. But also in my Confident Parent course, I talk about the inner parent voice and how you speak to yourself. And sometimes maybe it's not a mean voice, it's the voice of fear that says, "Careful, don't get too big for your boots," or "Don't do this," or "Be careful, don't do that." You know, it's that kind of parenting voice that's always on the lookout for danger. That's the voice of a traumatized parent. Wired for danger. You're wired for danger. So you need to kind of bring all that into your awareness and work on that. Or you don't need to if you choose to. I'd like to think that you would choose to. Otherwise, you're going to be passing it on to your kids. It's not really a gift that they need to be served up, you know, at a young age. The other thing people are, so the age, go back to the age. It's not, I'm getting to the point. It's 9 to 12 years old. I think there's one cuss word in it. I think I say bloody in it once. But the rest of it is quite innocent and magical and age appropriate. And it, as does the way I bring myself to coaching. I'm tackling some really massive, heavy subjects, but in the smiley way of doing it, through drawing, through creativity, through love, through play, through song, through whatever. It doesn't feel like that to the child. And I think if you're a traumatized parent, your inner child thirsts for play, creativity, freedom, to be themselves. So I think that's why you would like to read it. How much is it? The paperback's $12.99. I was going to make it $7.99. I'll tell you why I've made it $12.99, because Amazon control the prices, and someone advised me to make it £5 more than I wanted it to be, because when they do a sale, it will drop down to £5 less. So that's why it's currently at $12.99. I don't know when Amazon do their sales. I'm new to the party, so it could happen at any time. The Kindle version is only $2.39. If you don't have a Kindle or an iPod or an iPad, you can download the Kindle app for free. It's all free today. What's the man out of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? Lollipops. Come and get your lollipops. All free today. The reading ability. Okay, so I think it's an easy reader. The font is quite big. I've been told it's big font. It's a page turner, so the story is quite fast moving. So you'll want to keep reading it because you'll want to find out what happens to Ruby. I think children and adults will take different things out of it. It's like when you go and watch a Disney movie, you get the deeper messages if you're watching it in that way. Your kids are just like, oh, the elephant could fly, and oh, the witch did this, and it was so funny when the clown, like that. So you can read it on different levels. So there's different levels of reading. Oh, which is why I don't really want to put an age on it, because I just feel like there's so many of us walking wounded, who've got inner children that need time and attention. So, indulge your inner child with a little bit of fun. The only thing I would say about the reading ability is the book is 70,000 words. It wasn't ever meant to be. It's quite a chunky book. It's quite a big read. It's a big story. Lots of things happen. But then I think Mallory Towers by Enid Blyton, and I think, what's her name? J.K. Rowling. Her books are quite long. I was advised when I did my book writing course that you shouldn't go over a 45,000 word count for a young adult fiction. But my book coach said, it's your book, you're printing it, so you write the hell what you want to write. You make it, write what you like. Don't follow the rules. And I love it when people say don't follow the rules. So I just wrote, and I wrote what I wanted to write. And I did write unedited, and then I went back and took bits out of it. And there were things that my heart and my soul needed to say out loud, but maybe I didn't need to share with the whole world. So that was a very interesting process. What else do I want to say? Oh, yes. So whether you've got the book or not, on the 7th of August, I am starting a book club. If you go to the website, smileyforlife.com/book, there's a big red button that says join the book club. And I will be in there on the 7th of August. I'm not going to be in there every day. I'm probably going to do about 4 live calls where I come online and I'll pick particular parts of the book and I'll work through them. A bit like when we do the huddle, when we do the launch party, it's the kind of exercises that I know are going to help the children feel good about themselves. But I'll also do like a Q&A, and I'll take questions from parents. So if you want to come and ask me in a smaller environment that's not on here, that's not so public, then you can. I also wanted to set up the book club because I think eventually there will be an online course that goes with the book. So the online book club and the launch party huddle, like the workshopy type things, will be a bit of a test bed to see how people respond, and then how we can make that come alive online, which means that we can help more people, which is what we want to do. So that's kind of all your questions. And if you're making your new moon wishes for tomorrow, just sit down, light a candle, have a little quiet moment with yourself, close your eyes, take some deep breaths, put some nice music on, get your journal out and write down how you want the coming weeks to look. Set your intention for the summer holidays. If you keep saying, oh, the kids are bored, oh, this is annoying me, that's what you're asking for. That's what the universe will send you. So you can change that by resetting your intention and resetting your energy. I should be doing that tonight. I should be doing my new moon wishes. While I'm on... That's a big sigh, Lisa. I feel good for saying all of that because I keep getting lots of questions and people are asking the same questions. So I'm like, and the information is on the sales page, and I do appreciate that we're busy, but we haven't got time to read it. But even when I put the links into my post with like book, like with arrows, here's the link to buy, people put underneath and go, where can I buy it from? I just think people are too busy to scroll, too busy to read. So not even when I write my really long posts on Facebook, they're always really well thought out and they always come from my heart. And they're usually something that's happened to me that I think I want to share that with people because I bet other people have had that happen to them, or I bet they've experienced that. And then, you know, people just like photos of you when you buy a new hat or you have your hair highlighted. But when you talk about mental health and really serious things, nobody likes or comments on those. That's the kind of world we live in, people. That does not make me happy. That does not make me happy. Right. So if you're here and you have a question about the book or about anything, if you want to ask me about writing the book, it was a really emotional roller coaster. I'm still on the roller coaster. I'm just writing a blog now, actually, about 20 lessons that you can learn from the book. And I'm also writing about the lessons I'm still learning, having written it and put myself out into the world. And if you saw my Smiley Thought Card readings on Sunday, and if you go smileyforlife.com/blog, you can see the card spread I did. I did a card spread on leaning into joy and success and being comfortable with joy and success because, geez, I am not comfortable with this whole book thing at all. I kind of feel like I want to give it to someone else and go, can you rah the book up? Can you tell everyone what the book's about? Can you... I'm doing it because I believe that I need to walk my talk. So I'm sitting here, my stomach's flipping over and I'm facing my fear. It's not easy. But I'm allowed to feel excited and scared at the same time, which is what Ruby learns in the book. So I have to walk my talk. Would you recommend going on the course to write the book? Would you have done it without the course? I've been trying to write a book since 2015. I think timing is everything. I think back in 2015, I was really early on in my grief process for my childhood stuff. Ooh. And I don't think I would have written the book that I've written now, that I would have written. In fact, the book that I started writing in 2015, I went on the Hay House Writers Workshop in New York. I just wanted to go shopping. And it was all about, what was it called? I can't remember what it was called, but it was all about seeing parents parenting through the eyes of a child, like remember having the empathy. It's the empathy that I find that people lack when they're triggered, because they don't have the empathy for themselves because they've never been shown it. So, sorry, I will answer your question. The course is amazing. I've recommended it to other people. She's still running it, and there's still a Facebook group. The book coach is called Leonie Dawson. Her website is leoniedawson.com. She's an Australian. She swears like a mofo, like a sailor. She's hilarious. She'll sing you songs every day and send you emails. Being in the energy of that and being in the energy of the group of 500 wannabe authors was epic, and it kept me going. But the other thing that kept me going was Michael Jackson. Please don't judge me. Think what you like about the man, but I found a real love of his music. And, you know, there's such emotion and strong messages in his work. And obviously he was really traumatised and I think sexually and physically abused as a child. So for some strange reason, I found this unpublished album by him. See, I'm getting emotional talking about it. I don't know why, because I feel like I really connect to his music, and that is what I played through my earbuds every day. I logged on, I had a word count, which the course set up a process for me, but I'm really kind of, because I'm a wild heart and I'm really determined and strong-minded, if you set me a goal, there ain't no way I'm not going to achieve it. So I publicly declared I was doing it. I went into the group and set myself a word count for every day, and then I just popped Michael Jackson into my earbuds, discovered all this new music, moonwalked around my kitchen, and the book just flew out of me. I think timing is everything. But when you're writing something that's quite autobiographical, which I think most writers do, they say write what you know, don't they? Are you thinking of writing a book? Cerise, are you thinking of writing a book? It's a really big process. And it's not just the writing of the book. This is the bit, I think the writing of the book, even though it was emotional, it was healing, and I enjoyed it. Like, I love to write. I love to write, as I love to talk, because I feel like it's a good way to teach and communicate. But the marketing of it is the hard bit. Yeah, what are you going to write about? Let's say yes, possibly through gritted teeth. My advice would be start journaling. start sitting down and making time to write every day. I don't know if you've ever read Julia Cameron's books, she talks about morning pages. It's over there on my bookshelf. Julia Cameron, go to my smileyforlife.com/library. Julia Cameron, morning pages. So every morning you sit down and you just write your stream of consciousness until you clear away the crap. And then that's when the cream comes up to the surface and you start to write things that you can actually use for the book. But I'll have to be honest with you, when I started writing the book, this isn't what I planned to write at all. I was writing this jolly old story, thinking that I was Enid Blyton. And then, like all of my work came in and all of my clients started coming in and my workshopy stuff, and it all just kind of came together. And if you'd have said to me, write a book that incorporates your life lessons, your work, your clients, what you've learned as a coach, and all the stuff that you've read over the years, that are the most important things that people need to know, it would have never, ever been, I would have gone, don't be ridiculous, I can't do that. And that's what that is. So, yeah. Okay, thank you. I hope you enjoy it. You can get it free on Kindle. And if you're going to write your book, write it. Check out Leonie's course. It's really good. I think it's $99, $99. It's nothing. And thank you for the question and thank you for being here. I'm going to go now because I think I've done enough talking. I hope I've answered all your questions. If you've got any more and you're watching this on the replay, pop them in below. I'll very happily answer them for you. And I hope to see you all in the book club on the 7th of August. Go and press the red button and join me. Bring your kids along. Let's have fun with it. And I will see you all really, really soon. Take care. Bye for now. Bye.